Yo, what's going on, everyone? Welcome back to the channel. Zach Lesage here. Today we're going to be covering over the 2023 Japan Championships. Now, this is the big event in Japan. We got Worlds coming up, and that's going to be a big event. But this is the big event in Japan for Japanese players, and we have the results on the Play Limitless website. Which decks did well? Maybe you could have guessed by the thumbnail here or there, but we're going to dive in. This format is the same format that we have that's legal for Paldea Evolved. So it is going to impact the Puerto Rico special event, the national, international championships in Columbus, League Cups, League Challenges, as soon as Paldea is legal for paper, all that great stuff. This is a huge monumental event, so let's dive into it and see exactly what we have going on. The Shuffle Squad is proudly sponsored by Ultimate Guard, PTCGL Store, and Atlas TCG. Check out the description below for discount codes and affiliate links to support the squad. Now it's time for the video. As you can see, we got the results here for the Japan Championships. It just happened a couple days ago, and what it might mean to us. Now you can see that there's some missing results here, and I assume that this page is going to get updated. So shout out to the Limitless TCG website for always providing the best information in the game. And we're going to kind of dive through things. I think there's like 9-10 deck lists to go over here, if I could count correctly in this state, and we'll kind of jump things in. So coming in at 11th place, we got a Fusion Mew deck, and I'm going to do my best to kind of show these decks as much as possible. So the goal of a Fusion Mew deck is to accelerate energies with Fusion Strike energies, with Ellis's Sparkles. So we got some cool things with Ellis's Sparkle, we got some cool things with Fusion Strike energy, and we can attack very quickly with Meloetta. You can see that not much has changed here, except Mew does play Iono now. And Iono is a really cool card when it comes down to it, being able to kind of shuffle and draw resources that we have. So each player puts their hand at the bottom of their deck, counts their prize cards. You can always draw out of it when it comes to Genesect. So Genesect being able to draw out of Iono gives you a little bit of Iono proofness, making this deck generally pretty powerful. Meloetta allows you to compete with some single prize card Pokemon. And of course, we got some cool techs. Now, I might want to see like a Penny in this deck because Lost in Box might be a thing. Maybe it's not at the Japan Championships. So we'll have to see how that plays out. A lot of lists are going with the 3/4 Seal Stones, which I like to try to just have these really aggressive starts. And of course, Cleansing Gloves does allow you to do extra damage against Gardevoir EX, one of the big gatekeepers out of our format. So if you're looking for like a solid Mew list, I don't think this is a bad choice. I think Lost City might hold off Lost Zone enough where you got a chance. Meloetta is a quick attacker. And of course, this deck is just incredibly powerful. Not sure if there's any changes. I'm not going to really comment, but Fusion Mew is out there. It's seeing success in Japan in this format. And the next deck we're going to be going into is Gardevoir. Now, if we go to Gardevoir here, we do have access to quite a lot of things. We have Gardevoir is going to be using Psychic Embrace. Psychic Embrace is going to allow us to accelerate a bunch of energies from our discard pile. Those energies from our discard pile can power up things like Gardevoir with Shining Arcana, allowing us to do extra damage to Brainwave. And we also have access to Zacian V, doing damage to Snorb Slash. Now, this is the same attack that we have as Brainwave, but we have more HP, so we can take more damage counters from Gardevoir EX, which means we can just do more damage in general. Big thing about this deck is this deck, like Mew, is Iono proof. We have access to drawing cards from Refinement. We have access to drawing cards with Shining Arcana. We have access to drawing cards with Radiant Greninja. I think all of these are great options when it comes down to it. So we can Iono our opponent down to like however many cards, even if we have drawn quite a few prize cards, and we can usually draw out of it from Refinement. You can see that there's a lot of cool text that they're playing. They play Artisan to search out Pokemon like routes. They play a copy of Temple of Sinnoh to really be hurting a lot of those special energies nowadays. There's also a copy of Reversal Energy, so you can get kind of a plus 90 on Gardevoir if you're behind on prize cards. So I do think that this is like a very typical Gardevoir build, and I think we're going to see a lot more of these in the future. This to me seems very good. Sometimes lists play Champions Festival, sometimes they don't. I think that this is a solid take on the Gardevoir EX kind of archetype. Another deck that we see a lot of that we haven't necessarily seen online is Tina V-Star, Giratina V-Star. So we are playing a Lost Zone box base deck, and The thing that makes this deck a little bit better is we're a little bit more Iono proof. Since we do have a different build than other versions, we can play Iono against our opponent. And if we get stuck, we can always use Abyss Seeking. We have a little bit more HP. They might not necessarily be able to Iono and knock out 280 damage, or 280 HP. So we get all the benefits of playing a Lost Zone deck. And we have all the components of a stage 1 big attacker, V-star attacker. And we can play Iono. This sounds pretty cool. Cards that we got added into this deck are Jet Energy. So Jet Energy allowing us to kind of come from behind, or move from the bench to the active spot, I should say. So Flower Selecting, allowing you to kind of bump an extra Comfey up active, getting an extra Flower Selecting off, retreating with that Jet Energy. We also get access to Spiritomb. So a lot of the time, a Tina deck would play Drapion V just to try to counter Mew. Spiritomb might do a good enough job. We have to be careful with Fusion Strike Energy and stuff like that nowadays in this format. But overall, I think this list looks like a very solid take on a Tina V-Star deck, and I think it's something that we might see a little bit more of. So if you haven't picked up your Tinas, definitely pick up your Tinas. I think this is going to be one of the real deals. I want to test it more against Gardevoir. We are going to go into our first Lost Zone box, just kind of more like traditional Lost Zone box deck. Let's check this one out. So this one is a kind of, I would say turbo, but they're not playing Forest Seal Stone. It's more like a traditional Lost Zone box deck, where they're going to be using Flower Selecting, they're going to be using Colress and trying to get things out. Not able to do it super quickly when it comes down to it, because again, they're not playing Lost Vacuum, they're not playing extra Forest Seal Stones, and they're also not playing Kyogre, so there's a lot of energies, but the Jet Energies also, like we saw in Tina, are good against Comfey. Snorlax, Dragonite, Raikou, Drapion might be a bit much when it comes to attackers, but overall I don't dislike this list. I think it could use a couple changes, like the Pokegear could be a Forest Seal Stone, the Palpad could be a copy of Lost Vacuum, and I'd be willing to call this deck a day. We might want to play a little bit more stadiums when it comes down to it. Might be able to get rid of an energy here or there, but overall I think this is a solid take on the deck. And Lost Zone proves that it has what's going on. You could Iono this deck into an absolute blender, but it has opportunities to kind of punch back. So Lost Zone, similar to our current format, is quite good. Now, we are going to move on to another Tina deck, and we'll see if this one's any different. You can see that a lot of lists are just playing Spiritomb. This list swapped the Roxanne and Iono counts. I'd actually probably like to see that the other way around. Nothing too much different here in terms of count as far as I could tell. I mean, obviously there's an extra Jet Energy and an extra Path to the Peak, but Tina is looking pretty well rounded between these two lists. I'm assuming that's where it's going to be. I would like to see more Switch Card and Escape Rope maybe, but it's something that we'll have to see how the format kind of formulates. But I do think that this list looks solid right now. So shout out to them. We're going to move on to a third Tina. So Tina is actually one of the most successful decks that we've had here, as you can see, and we're getting into the top 4 already. So moving through it a little bit quickly, we are going to go see what we have here. Looking pretty similar, no Spiritomb. They went with a double Roxanne, 1 Iono. Maybe I'm wrong on that. It could use a little bit more testing. 2 Path, 1 Rox, 2 Path, 1 Temple. These lists are all very, very, very similar, and they're all going to be based off the different metagames. I think I probably like the ones with Spiritomb because there's quite a bit of Mew, and maybe you catch them slipping on a slow start. So I do like that a little bit. Pick up those Tinas. I think Tina's definitely a hot deck. We're going to be moving on to our second Mew deck of the day. This one is just a straight Path Mew, and you can see that they've added in a few nice new tricks. They got Luxray up in here. Luxray being one of the bigger cards from Paldea Evolved. So Swelling Flash, once during your turn, if this Pokemon's in your hand and you have more prize cards remaining onto than your opponent, you may put it onto your bench, allowing us to kind of beam this into play. We have access to Reversal Energy. So you get a kind of single prize card attacker in a Mew Path kind of build. Nothing kind of else that's freaky. We got Iono, Judge, like everything here seems pretty normal. The 4 Feather Ball might be a little bit much when it comes down to it. I think a lot of lists have been cutting down. So what I'd be looking at is one of the Mew Path decks that has been seeing success. Maybe what we saw at the Fresno Regional Championships. I believe that Andrew Hedrick might have made top 4, top 8 with a Mew Path deck. So if I'm not mistaken there, I mean, you want to know what? We could actually just check it out while we're here. Fresno Regional Championships, Andrew top 4, Mew Path. I would take the base of this deck, add in a Reversal Energy, add in a Luxray, and I don't know if I like the Drapion. The Drapion could be cool. Maybe we could see like the differences between these two lists. So you've got some cool things going on with Mew. Mew DT might not necessarily be the best build. Luxray might be better than we think it is, because 180 for a single energy that you could search out of your deck with Forest Seal Stone does sound like it has some opportunities to see success. We're going to move on to our finalist deck here, Gardevoir. Now, Gardevoir here teched out a little bit with a copy of the Mirage Top Curlia. I actually like the Refinement one a little bit more, but we'll have to see how that ends up playing out. 2-2 Gardevoir, 1-1. We do see a Spiritomb, so a lot in Japan. There must be a lot of Mew, maybe because it's a best-of-1 format. Spiritomb looks like it's seeing a lot of success here. So I'm really excited to see if that's going to transfer over to the rest of the global metagame that we'll see at the North American Internationals. For Iono, Triple Boss, they decided not to go with Palpad. Maybe that's the correct call. I like a lot of things when it comes down to this deck. Cutting Worker for another Stadium. There's a lot of cool stuff, so maybe this is just the wave to be playing this deck. I know I want to work on Gardevoir a bunch, practice this deck a bunch, and this list to me looks pretty simplified, so I'm definitely going to check that out. I do like the idea of Spiritomb, similar to how I like Drapion. I like winning matchups. The reason why I like playing Duraludon is I go into matchups, I'm like, sweet, you play special energies, I'm pretty sure I win. Spiritomb is a card that I want to add into a bunch of my decks. So definitely a hot card of this set that might not be getting utilized as much. And we did have not Lost Zone, getting it myself. We had Fusion Mew win it all, taking it down. Pretty traditional looking list when it comes down to it. But the big change that we had for this one is it played Ice Cube. Ice Cube's Block Slider allows us to knock out one of our opponent's Pokemon. Well, obviously knockout if we get the knockout, but 40 to one of your opponent's Pokemon for each fusion energy attached to all your Pokemon. We could use Block Slider to knock out that Spiritomb that we've been talking about, to really just jump back into games really quickly. I think the Ice Cube's hot. I'd like to add a Meloetta into this deck because it makes sense, but we'll have to see how it turns out. Overall, I think that this deck is absolutely fantastic, and Mew is probably going to be a real force into our metagame. So as I do our metagame forecast probably next week, so stay tuned for that, Mew's probably on its way up, Tina's probably on its way up, Gardevoir is probably on its way up, and Lost Zone Box is on its way up. Chenpao is probably more up than we thought. I think Arc decks are on their way down, and we'll have to see how the rest of the metagame formulates. But overall, some really interesting results from Japan. I can't wait to see the rest of this page get fleshed out in the next couple days. I'm sure the Limitless staff is looking for all these lists, and be sure to check it out on the Limitless TCG website. Not the Play Limitless website, the Limitless TCG website, where they host all of their tournaments. And like I said, there's a lot of events coming up soon, so we'll have to see how it turns out. But right now, this is what we got going on for results from Japan. Let me close things out. Well, that's what we got going on for today's video. Did you enjoy the results of the Japanese championships? Did you see a deck that you might want to try out? We'll have to see how it goes going forward. I'm going to continuously post the best content available as possibly can. As you might have seen, I've been doing a lot more content lately for the Shuffle Squad, so stay tuned for more great content from myself and other great creators in the game, in the community, anything else like that. So really hope you enjoyed. By all means, give this video a like, subscribe, let us know in the comments, and we'll catch up with you real soon. Again, this is Zach Lesage from the Shuffle Squad. Peace out and have a great day. You made it to the end. Thank you so much for watching this entire video from the Shuffle Squad. Honestly, from the bottom of our hearts, we appreciate each and every person that supports our content, watches what we have going on every single day, every single week, even from time to time, and continuously allows us to have a forum to project our creative content towards the Pokemon TCG community. So if you haven't already, be sure to give this video a like, subscribe to the channel, and even leave a comment to help boost the YouTube algorithm. That being said, we'll catch you with our next video. Thanks again. Take it easy.